Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool pinball repair video for you this evening. We are working on this Captain Fantastic. We did a video where we kind of showed the condition that it was in. The cabinet is a little rough on it, and it looked like some mice had been in it, but we worked through it a little bit. Had some coil burning up problems, things like that. And we did another video where we fixed some of that stuff, figured out some of what was going on. We still haven't got it completely playable yet, but we were having some scoring issues and decided that it was time to redo the playfield. So the first thing we're going to do is take everything off the playfield. Then we're going to clean it with a magic eraser and some Windex, actually, soapy water. And then whenever we're done with that, we're going to do a little bit of touch up for it. So sit back, relax, and you can see us remove most of the stuff from the playfield, get it cleaned up a little bit, and then we will paint it. This is what we ended up with. It's missing the lens. The main problems that it has is there's some minor wear here, but the blue is pretty bad. For whatever reason, the blue has flaked away all over the machine. And I guess it's really several of the colors, like there's some on the red here as well. But the blue is what you see because it's on everything. Yeah, that's kind of unfortunate. I might try to do something about that. There's a technique you can use to fix that called the smear technique. So you just take a blue paint that's similar to that, acrylic paint, put it on the blue, and then kind of rub it around. And basically you're going to clean off all of the blue that's not in one of those little pock marks that appears as white. And it would just leave the blue only in the part that's messed up. So we'll attempt that a little bit, just see if it works. We got to get this and this looking good. I'm not going to try to make it look perfect. I talked with the customer whenever they dropped it off. They're not expecting it to look perfect or anything. We've worked on one of their games before. I can't remember which one it was, though, but I'm not going to try to touch up every color on this because basically you would have to repaint the whole playfield. But I am going to try to get this a little better since you look at it so much, and I think it would be fairly simple. Then we'll see if we can do anything about that blue to make it look a little better. But I wouldn't expect any miracles here. We're not going to turn this into a 10. I would say it's so evenly worn. It's kind of interesting how it's just evenly... It's like the whole playfield has just distressed a little bit, but there isn't heavy wear anywhere except for where this flipper drug and this one insert here looked like it was catching the ball pretty good. But other than that, there's not heavy wear. It's just regular wear from the thing being played a lot over its time. You can keep it from doing that by waxing it, but what happens is people just kind of neglect them a lot of times over the years. So the operator maybe didn't keep this one as clean as he should have, and it started wearing down the playfield. Maybe they had an old rusty pinball on it or something too. But we'll see what we can do. So the first thing, like I said, I'm most interested in this. So I think the first thing I'm going to do, I've got these little black ink markers that are acrylic black paint that you can just write with. They're like a pen. Not Sharpies. You can't do that. You need something acrylic because whenever you clear coat over it, it will, the clear coat sometimes doesn't like the catalyst that's in some of the like Sharpies and stuff like that, and you'll get all kinds of problems. Basically, when you spray the clear on it, it'll make it run and just ruin it. But if you use acrylic paint, you can clear over it really easily. Acrylic's really easy to mix. It's also really easy to clean up. So that's what we do. So let me grab some of those, and I'm just going to mark back in some of the missing lines, which should make it where you can see obviously what's missing and what needs attention, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I inked the black back in, which makes it look much better just by doing that. It hides a lot of the wear just putting the lines back. And you can see I didn't do it perfect. I am incapable of perfection. I am unimpressed by perfection, and I do not desire perfection. And I've talked to the customer, they don't either, so it's all right. These are the pens we use. Posca. And I try to get the finest one I can get. This one's a 0.7 millimeter. I don't know how much finer you can get it. These are made by Mitsubishi. It's a Japanese ink, and it's made in France, I believe. These are pretty cheap, though. They sound expensive. It's not that expensive. And we use them on all kinds of pinballs. Like I said, they're really good because you can clear over them. But remember, everywhere you use these, you have to clear over because it'll wear off. It's water-based. So I didn't go crazy with it. So I re-inked the bonus ladder, which means I'm going to have to clear over that. And I re-inked here, which means we're going to have to clear over that. You don't want to do like I said, you don't want to do the whole playfield unless you're going to take everything off and you like use a nice automotive clear coat or something like that. We're not going to do all that. We literally just use spray paint clear coat. But yeah, so it drew most of it back in. We still got to add in a little bit of color. Like there's a little bit of teal missing that would make it look a lot better if we did that. There's a little bit of yellow missing that would make it look a lot better if we did that. A little bit of red missing. So there's still stuff to do, but the most concerning thing to me is this blue. I'm going to try a little bit up there at the top and see if I can get my smear technique on point tonight. If I can make it happen, we ought to be able to make this thing look a lot better. So let me go grab some blues. We'll find one that's real close and see if I can get anywhere near that color. So the way I do it is I get all these little cheap acrylic paints. This is Americana brand. It's pretty good. You can get this at Michael's. It may also be at Hobby Lobby. I think it is. These are like $1 a bottle or something like that. And I just get a whole bunch of different colors. What I do is, like, if I'm running out of blue, or if I run out of a particular one that I use all the time, I'll go to the store and I'll get like 7 or 8 blues while I'm there, and then that'll get my blue selection up pretty good. And then, you know, this is wet paint because it's inside of this tube, or this bottle, and the bottle is also like it's a clear plastic, but it's like a kind of a little bit cloudy. And so the color that you're looking at is a little bit lighter than it will actually dry. So they dry slightly darker than they look, like this. Some people make paint swatches and stuff too. This is just how I do it. That's not the right shade. That's more like a baby blue. This is ocean blue. Okay, this one, a little closer, but it ain't quite right. That's bright blue. Maybe it's too bright. This one, too dark. Ultra blue deep. Now, if you are going to err one way or the other, you want it to be darker than lighter. Your mind doesn't notice dark imperfections as much as it notices light imperfections. So whenever you look at this blue, if there are some little darker spots in it, you won't really notice that. If there are lighter spots in it, you notice every one of them. It's just how it is. So if you can't perfectly match the paint, and usually you can't, you want it to be just slightly darker as opposed to slightly lighter. So this one would be good if you didn't have anything else. Then we got this one. This is like, you can tell it's a completely different shade. This has a little more green in it. It just has a greener look. Some people have a good eye for that. Some people don't. If you think about a color wheel, and then you think, so it's blue, and then what's the best way to put that? You've got red. Well, if you look at a color wheel, you'll figure it out. But basically, this is more towards the green area of the color. So that's not good. Then we've got this one. It's another one that's kind of weird looking. It's kind of purple almost. It's really bright. So this one is ultramarine blue. So that gets us down to these 3. So we've got this one. To me, that's just a little too light. It is going to dry darker, but I think it won't be dark enough. So that's sapphire. That gets us down to these 2. Okay. To my naked eye, that one is just a little off. The shade's not quite right. And that's true blue, they're calling it. That's number 2. And then this one might be a little bit too dark, maybe. And that is vivid blue. Did we already look at vivid blue? I don't think we did. That sounds familiar. No, I don't have a vivid blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try a little vivid blue in one area. And I'm going to try a little true blue in another area. And we'll see which one we like the best. Okay, so this is how you do it. You see all the white. Now notice that is not a perfect color match. So if you left it like that, no bueno. No bueno. But we're not going to leave it like that. We're going to wipe it off. And when you wipe it off, you get all of the blue off of the top, or make it thin enough that basically it's not that big of an issue. But it leaves all of the blue and the little white specks. Problem solved. Okay, so I've done about half of it. You can see the difference there and tell me what you think. Now remember, I haven't put the clear coat on it yet. And yeah, the true blue was just too light, so it was vivid blue all the way. And again, I'm not looking for perfection, so I'm not going to do every color, and I'm not going to do every little single dot that needs to be blue. like I was saying, that the playfield just kind of looked evenly worn. We're bringing that wear back up a little bit. We're not trying to get it perfect or anything. I think people waste so much time on that. Just get it looking better. I haven't done much down here, but I think that looks a lot better so far just by touching up the dark blue. And I'm not going to go in, like I said, and touch up the lighter colors because it's just not as obvious. You can't see, especially since they've got like the whole sparkles and stars and stuff everywhere anyway. I mean, do you really notice that there's little white specks on some of the red? I don't think it's that important. And then up here, you can see the teal has some of it as well. On the yellow, there's a little bit, but you can't hardly see it. It's mainly this blue. So we get it looking better. The rest of it might even look like it's designed that way. So here's what I got out of that. I think it came out pretty good. It'll look a lot better once there's a clear coat on it. I think that is just what it needed to make it look much more presentable. So I think it's much nicer now. I think if it was I don't know, maybe a 5 before, it's a 7 now. So I think we were able to lift it 2 points by doing that. And that's about as good as I can get it. I can't get it too much better than that. So, but I am going to touch up a little bit of the ladder here. I'm not going to go crazy with the red dots, like I said. I'm going to leave that. And the worst part that was affected by the blue that we haven't done anything with is this over here where it says special when lit. That just doesn't look all that great, but I'm not going to go too crazy with that. I might re-ink the black line around the arrow, make it look a little better. So yeah, so I'm gonna paint in a little bit of red, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of teal, and a little bit of like a cream color, and then run with it. I'm just gonna get the thing that matches the closest and run with it. I'm not gonna try to mix too much of it and get it all perfect or anything. Because there's so much going on there too, and it's so minor, you're not even going to notice small differences in the actual shade. So let me see what I can do with that, and we'll go from there. So this is where I am after touching up the bonus ladder. Very presentable in my opinion. And I'm going to put some clear on it. Like I said, we just use rattle can clear. Everybody always wants to know what's the big secret to that. I just don't like showing that because you can't do it on just a little portion of the playfield. If you just, let's say you just touch up this spot and then you spray clear coat on it, it's going to fisheye because there's wax all over the playfield, or oil all over the playfield, or dirt all over the playfield, or grease all over the playfield. You can't paint over that. But what did we just do? How come we can do it? It's because we just took the whole playfield apart and cleaned the whole playfield with a magic eraser. Remember that? So a magic eraser is basically like sandpaper. You're essentially sanding the playfield. So everything that was on the top of the playfield is gone. All of that wax, all the oil, or you hope it is. I've still had issues whenever I have a big area. If I paint it, I'll still see some little stuff, they call it orange peel or fish eyes. If there's a spot on the playfield with oil on it, paint won't stick to that, which is why you have to use acrylic paints. There are some oil-based paints you can use, but it's kind of, you got to know which ones are which. So if you tested it all out, you could probably figure it out. But I just like using acrylic because it's really easy to work with. It's really easy to paint over. So yeah, so that's what we got. So I'm going to clear coat it, most of it. I'm not going to take anything else off the playfield. So I'm going to use a satin clear, which kind of blends in. It makes it look kind of like it originally looked. You can use gloss if you want, but you will see every little imperfection in the thing. And we're going to make it glossy anyway whenever we wax it, right? So I use satin. It blends in with kind of the original finish in any places that didn't get completely redone and all of that, and it just works well for me. So, and again, we're not aiming for perfection here. This isn't perfect by any means. It's way down the line from perfect. You could get it perfect if you did it yourself and just took forever and just painted each little part, took every little thing off the playfield. But you got to remember, I'm charging a guy to do this, and he doesn't want to pay me 25 hours when I'm kind of subpar at art anyway, right? If I was Leonardo da Vinci, okay, go ahead and pay me my 25-hour rate, and I'm sure it'll look great. But, you know, it would take a long time to get this thing perfect in every way. We were able to bring the worn area of the playfield up a couple levels in just a couple hours. So it's inexpensive. We can do it while we're just taking the playfield apart. Doesn't take a ton of time. Get the machine in here and back out to the customer where they're happy with it. And it looks much more presentable. There's also the thing where when you start staring at every little part of it, you notice every little thing. Like, look at this little scratch. Oh, there's a scratch there. Oh, it's horrible. Oh, God, look how bad that is, right? You're not even going to notice that if you're playing it. You know, who the hell cares about a little scratch? It doesn't. People get so picky about these that it really makes everything unfun. So if you're like that, do your own machine, but this is about as good as I'm capable of doing. So I'm going to clear it, and then we'll have Joey put everything back together and wax it. And the whole point of us doing this at this point in the repair was we were having some scoring problems. So whenever we turned on the game, the 1,000-point relay locked on, the 10-point relay locked on both the first and the second player. So we're just having some kind of issues. Why would it do that? Well, if one of these switches is stuck closed from the old rubber rings, it could do something like that. So we needed to service the playfield, get it where we know it's all good, and then we can go from there. All right, folks, it's viewer mail time. Today's viewer mail comes from Ryan in Pinckney, Pinckney, Pinckney. So it can be Knee at the end and Pink at the beginning. So Pinckney, Michigan. I think. Is it Michigan? MI. Is that Michigan? Or is MG Michigan? I've never seen an MG. It must be Michigan. All right. So he has sent us a little letter. I don't want to dox anybody, but you can't read his last name. Hi, Ronnie. Well, hello. Thank you so much for taking the time to help me with my game plan Sharpshooter 2 solenoid issues. Like I said in the Patreon chat, you nailed it with diagnosing the bad 74154 chip on the solenoid driver board. So if you don't know, we have a Patreon account down below all of our videos. You can click it, and you don't have to do this, but if you want to, where you can follow us on Patreon. And then if you've got any kind of problems with your machines, if you send us a message on Patreon, we try to help you out and give you at least our advice. If we can't figure out exactly what's going on with it, at least give you our advice. So this gentleman had a game plan Sharpshooter 2, and the problem he had was whenever he turned the thing on, all of the coils would fire and then release, and then it played fine. But it was a little scary, you know, like you turn it on, boom, boom, and then everything plays fine. So it's just enough to like make you think that ain't right. It's not supposed to do that. I've heard of the Gottlieb games doing that if they have problems with grounds and stuff. So he said it was, you know, it was a game plan. Now, I have never actually owned a game plan. I own a couple of them, but I haven't fixed them. And so I've looked into it a little bit. And if you don't know, the game plan machines were a lesser known manufacturer that made maybe 10 games or something like that. And they had a little board, CPU board, and everything was just completely different than other systems, very different. And it had a battery right in the middle of the board. So if that battery rots, and they all do, it destroys the CPU. So I've got a couple of them. The reason I've never messed with them is because the CPUs are all screwed up. And I've got some replacement CPUs. We're going to do it one of these days. We just haven't done it. I think both of the ones I have are cocktail tables, so they're not all that super impressive anyway. So his was doing that. So I looked at the schematics, and he had done a bunch of things already. And Clay had mentioned that there's a cap. Clay at pinrepair.com had mentioned that there's a capacitor that goes bad, and if that goes bad, that you can have solenoid problems, you can have lamp problems, blah, blah, blah. So I kind of looked in the circuit at what he was talking about, and there's an area there where it creates the basically the data and the address lines that, you know, make the whole thing function start narrowing off where they only go to the solenoids. So I looked at it a little bit and kind of figured it out. And I was telling him, well, it could be this, or it could be once it gets on the solenoid driver board, it goes through this big decoder chip called a 74154. It could be that one is, you know, starting at a weird level where it's locking everything on and then starting to work. So he swapped that chip and got it working. I wanted to send you something because I truly appreciate your effort and help. After watching years of your videos, I know you are particular about tools, as am I. So I hope you like these Tecton spring hooks. I use my set all the time when trying to finagle a spring back on a drop target without taking the entire assembly apart or disassembling, reassembling score reels and or stepper units. They are made right up here in Michigan and with USA sourced materials. I like the way he's talking. You can't find many tools anymore that can make those two claims. That's true. A lot of them are made in USA, but they don't have USA sourced materials. So I hope you find them as helpful as I do. Thanks again. Yeah, I'm starting to be a tool snob. I like the ones made in the USA, and I like the ones made in Germany. Oh, yeah, look at this. So this is a set. I think I've showed these before. This is a set I bought a couple weeks ago. Eklund. And it's all made in USA. All they make is like small screwdrivers and Allen wrenches. Security bits, stuff like that. Ooh, it's got a little case. Look at that. Oh, look, it came from Tecton as well. All right. Let's see what we got here. that. These are pretty nice. You know what else these are good for? This would work on old clocks as well, or whenever I'm putting the, now, you kind of have to push them though, so maybe. But whenever you put a clock back together, you've got all these gears in between the two plates, and there's a pinion sticking through the top plate and the bottom plate. And so when you got to put like 10 of them, or 12, 15 of them in the plates all at one time. So what happens is you kind of get one in place, and then another one in place, and then you put a couple screws, a couple of the nuts on, and then all of the other ones aren't right. So the gears are in there all crooked, and they're not in their little pivot they're supposed to be in. So you can use something like this to reach in there and pull it a little bit to get it to pop into its hole that it's supposed to be in. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Wow. Yeah, I've never even seen this. This is pretty sweet. There's the pointy one. Yeah, these are very nicely made, I can tell. Tecton. USA. Ooh. Yeah, I've never had that one. Yeah, I could see where these would be very useful for putting springs back where they go. That is very cool. That's a heck of a case for them too, isn't it? All right, well, Ryan, I really appreciate that. We will put them to good use, and I'm happy that you got your sharpshooter 2 back working right. Now, back to your regularly scheduled video. So this is how it ended up looking after Joey got done cleaning, waxing, new rubber rings, all of that. We still need to work on the drop targets, clean them up, and I think we're going to put new pop bumper caps on it. But it's very presentable now, I think. I just think it looks much better. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start a game and show you what it's been doing. It's got a Volvas in it. Basically, we haven't done anything with the score reels yet. So if they reset, we've got a problem where the 1000's locked on and the 10's locked on 2 different players. So let's see if it does that again. If it does, I'm just going to turn it off. It did not do that again. All right, so it's probably something on the playfield. Okay, let's just see if we can get it to score anything. It does say player 1. Okay, the chimes are not working. Or that particular chime is not working. The 1000's is though. That's interesting. So it's supposed to be 300 points, but it's doing 200 and then 300 and 200 and then 300. But that did fix, our scoring. Our scoring issue where something was locked on. That one's also scoring 300. Maybe that's supposed to be lit. We haven't done the light bulbs yet. Okay. Yeah, so we're looking pretty good scoring wise. Of course, like I said, we need to rework all that still. All right. Okay, so yeah, so our scoring issues were actually the playfield. So there was broken rubbers and probably switches that were misadjusted and all of that, and Joey caught it whenever he went through. Not sure why it was scoring on player 2. It could be that the player unit hadn't reset or wasn't, the little blades weren't properly centered. We could actually fix that a little bit by rotating this disc. We worked on this last time. If we moved that disc a little bit, it would make it where these went back just a little bit, maybe to get them where there's no chance of them touching 2 at once. Yeah, so like that one there. Look, that looks like it's probably on 2 at one point. So we gotta, maybe that's bent or something. We did a little repair on that on the last video. Yeah, that might be just a little bit forward. Let me see if I can mess with it. Okay, so I just moved the disc just slightly. And usually there's just enough play that you can barely move it. You don't, there's 2 screws, one there and one over there, that you can loosen to do it. But then the problem is the spider's not in place, so you can't tell if you're right. And so the point is you want these things to only be on one connection at a time. So that one there was a little suspect, but you can see now it's backed off and it's only on the one. Okay, now when that steps up, now it'll be on the second one. And see how we got it kind of like where it's in the middle? That's about how you want it. You don't want it where it's on 2 at the same time. You can see there it's only on 1. Now it looks like the maybe that's touching. It's not. It's lifted up off of the thing. The only thing that's touching is actually the contact on it. So that would make it second player. Going back around. We got so many games in here we're working on that we don't have room to move. Let's see if that moved us over to the second player. Okay. All right, so that probably fixed both of the scoring problems that we had. The locked on 1,000 point, whatever that was, maybe that was one of the drop targets or something, I don't know. We didn't really clean that, so I don't know what scores 1,000 on the playfield, but something. And then the locked on 10 point score reel. And then the little disc that we just adjusted probably corrected where we were scoring on the first player and the second player at the same time. Of course, like I said, we had already cleaned that. It just probably wasn't adjusted quite perfect. All right, so there you go, folks. Hope you enjoyed that. Next time we will finish this thing up. We've still got stuff obviously in the back box to work on. We haven't cleaned all the score reels yet. And then I'm sure there will be other problems, like we know that the chimes aren't working quite right and things like that. But we will get to those on the next video. So that should be the last video in this series on Captain Fantastic. We will see you then.